As we roam the streets, they slyly peep at us and challenge us in 20 different guises. Without knowing why, we look up suddenly to see in a window a face that seems to belong to our gallery of intimate portraits. In a sleeping thoroughfare, we hear a cry of agony and fear coming from an empty and shuttered house. Instead of at our familiar curb, a cab driver deposits us before a strange door, which one, with a smile, opens for us and bids us enter. A slip of paper, written upon, flutters down to our feet from the high lattice of chance. We exchange glances of instantaneous hate, affection, and fear with hurrying strangers in the passing crowds. At every corner, handkerchiefs drop, fingers beckon, eyes besiege, and the lost, the lonely, the rapturous, the mysterious, the perilous, changing clues of adventure are slipped into our fingers. But few of us are willing to hold and follow them. We are grown stiff with the ramrod of convention down our backs. We pass on, and someday we come at the end of our very dull life to reflect that our romance has been a pallid thing of a marriage or two, a satin rosette kept in a safe deposit drawer, and a lifelong feud with a steam radiator. Thus begins O. Henry's 1906 short story, The Green Door, about a man who has deftly slipped a notice by an individual who is doing his best to give out flyers to passerbys on the street. Looking down at his notice, the man reads it. It says, The Green Door. Unlike us, who are locked into the rhythms of life, the protagonist sees the slip of paper, notices that the others he can see in the man's hand are for a dentist's office, and feels personally called to a mission. This slip of paper, he thinks, was meant for him personally. And so, he turns into the nearest building, and as he travels up 2 flights of stairs, he finds a green door. How many of us would have gone, would have followed that summon up those stairs, would have looked at that piece of paper and thought, this is for me? Would you have done it? Or would you have thought, this is one of 100 similar flyers that are handed out every day in this city? It was handed to me, and though I can't see it in the pile, I know that its brothers and sisters are handed to so many others as well. It isn't my responsibility. If I do not look for the green door, surely another will fulfill the mission and seek what lies behind it. Today, we are gathered here as a crowd. When 10 Jews are in a room together, we represent the whole Jewish people standing together. And so, individuality erased, earlier in tonight's service we prayed as one from the paper in our hands. What does it mean to be a Jew? You shall be a holy people, to hold fast to our vision of truth, to retain our faith in tomorrow. Holy in our day is the redemption we still await. Holy is the Jew today and tomorrow who bears witness to the goodness of life. We as a people, as an archetype, that the Jew, we commanded by Jewish law as a community. This is a good conservative or orthodox Jewish mindset, being commanded as a community. But unfortunately for all of us gathered here today, we are burdened with the responsibility of being Reformed Jews. In the more traditionally conservative movements of Judaism, decision-making relies with the Marda Atra, the Moreh Shel HaMakom, the teacher in charge of the synagogue. Rabbi Baruch Friedman Kohl at Beth Tzedek, or at Sharei Shemayim, Rabbi Chaim Strachler. Judaism is a group affair, Jewish law definitively interpreted by a leader, a head teacher. At Holy Blossom, you've probably guessed it, Rabbi Splansky is our head teacher, and Jewish observance and prayer is communal, but Jewish law, halakha, how we bring Judaism into every facet of our lives, is individual. We all should feel the obligation to regulate what food is fit for our consumption, but the practical application of kashrut differs from home to home. All of us Reformed Jews know when it is Shabbat, yet mark that day in our own way. Of those of us that sit together on Shabbat, that feel the ought of worship and communal gathering, which is directed to us all, some walk, some bike, some drive. Some don't spend money, some spend it only to further their family's relaxation and enjoyment of the day. And as articulated by our leadership and teachers, this is the Reform ideal, that we make informed decisions as to how we live our individual lives as Jews. The power and the responsibility lies with each of us. I know the refugee crisis is on many of our minds. Last week, the European Union Commission set its target at resettling 160,000 refugees within the European Union. There's only one problem. Very few of the countries that make up the EU are willing to take any large number of refugees. It's easy for the collective body to say yes, but the individual nations, including the United Kingdom, are loath to do anything as individual units. As an aside, keep your ears open for news from Rabbi Satz on what we can do as a Jewish community to welcome in new Canadians, just as many of us or our parents were welcomed post-war. Holy Blossom Temple should surely help sponsor a Syrian refugee family, but let us not think that others will do more in order to reach the 30,000-ish needed to make this a reality. I believe we need 5 families who will help resettle the new Canadians and put their names on the legal documents. Surely someone else will take on that burden and put their name on that list. After all, there's only room for 5. Let's do our best to ensure that the gates are not shut like they were to our people leading up to and during the Second World War, because it's someone else's burden. Those that have been taught first aid know the problem of the collective. Instead of shouting to a crowd, "Someone, please call 911," first aid trainers teach us to turn towards an individual, make eye contact, and say, "You, call 911." It's human nature. If you want to get it done, someone must personally be assigned to it. In this space, Rabbi Plout once told the story of visiting a sick friend, a friend who had received many flowers and extravagant gifts. He relates, "One day when I visited," she said, "you know, I want to tell you about the most wonderful gift I got today. An old friend of mine who works downtown came up here during her lunch hour and ate her sandwich in my room. Wasn't that a wonderful thing for her to do?" Rabbi Plout continues, "There was a person who felt the demand was addressed to her. She acted upon it, not in some second-hand fashion, but in a direct way." He continues, "I say to you tonight," October 1962, "Reform Judaism asks of you a commitment in the area of worship and study as well as social service. It is in the nature of Reform that commitment not be alike for everyone, but some commitment you must make on the level on which you can make it. And if you will listen insistently and carefully to the voice that is being addressed to you from within, then perhaps you can make a decision which is not based on comfort, which is not merely based on pressures of business and society, but which is based on the moral, the ethical, the religious voice. And then you say, yes, this is my commitment. This is my commitment to worship. This is my commitment to study. This is my commitment to give service to others. Only in this fashion, my friends, only by hearing the voice addressed to you, only can you realize that Reform asks of you a personal commitment directed to you. Will you find that personal identity, and will you help emerge into real being? One of our members, Mira Lyons, runs a summer camp for Save the Children's for-profit arm, Me to We. Me to We works on getting individuals to think of themselves as part of a collective. But that is not our Reformed Jewish problem. I think, echoing Rabbi Plaut's words, that what is needed today in our Reformed Jewish community is we to me. We stand here as a community, and as a community, we often fail to bring Judaism to life in the world around us. We read and hear these words of Torah, of godliness, and we think, yes, that's a great idea. We should do that. And then each of us goes home, unburdened by the knowledge that there were so many others present to hear the message, and surely one of the others will make it happen. Surely others will adapt their lifestyle to fight climate change. It doesn't make economic sense for me. Why should I bike there the 10 minutes instead of driving? I might be made uncomfortable. I might be made uncomfortable turning my air conditioning down, inconvenienced by traveling less. After all, climate change isn't about my consumption, it's about human consumption. And if only others who aren't as important as I or as busy can change their lifestyles, then I personally won't have to sacrifice. Or, what I find to be the most challenging, I know that other people's grandchildren are Jewish. I don't have to have a hard conversation with my kids. Others will keep our traditions alive, send their kids to senior school and confirmation. There will always be Jews there to hear the rabbi's plea to help refugees because we too were refugees, or to take climate change as a personal challenge. It doesn't need to be my grandchildren. And thus, it is the community's responsibility, and we have each individually made the choice to absolve ourselves of Judaism, of Jewish responsibility and obligation. Judaism is what the ultra-Orthodox, the hardcore environmentalists, the believers, the older generation. Judaism is what others do. No. You, me, each of us are Reformed Jews. Judaism is in your hands. And this is a new year, a new opportunity for all of us to own our Judaism. We are Reformed Jews. We don't abdicate our decision-making to others. We can't abdicate our responsibility to others. We each must do our part to bring Judaism to life in this world through every act we take, every bite of food we choose to put in our mouths, every mile we choose to travel, every sick friend we take time to visit, every Shiva house we make the effort to get to, because I can tell you, no one else is doing it. No one else is doing it. We each have been handed a piece of paper. Through these holy days, look in your hands at the Machzor. It asks on this Rosh Hashanah for us to use our Judaism to make our world a place which enthrones our idea of God in this world, to strain our own luxury a bit, to give of our precious time for the benefit of others. What does it mean to be a Jew? One could answer like this: I shall be a holy person, a person willing to be a bit less comfortable so that our world and others living in it may have a chance, to hold fast to my vision of truth, to retain my faith in tomorrow. Holy in our day is the redemption I still await and work towards. Holy am I, a Jew, who bears witness to and works to increase the goodness of life. We all hold the paper in our hands. The thought which must ring forth at this moment in each of our individual minds gathered here tonight is this: I hold a personal invitation. What am I going to do with it? Shana Tova.